I cut ties with my sister, her family, and my husband's family. Why? They think they're entitled to my husband's paycheck. Okay, this needs a whole history of context. My 48 female and sister 56 female and I had always had a rocky relationship. Her husband and my husband are brothers, so we've always had that distance closeness. Due to poverty, I only graduated from a 2-year course. My husband is the successful one in the whole family, basically. He graduated from college with a Bachelor of Science in Marine Engineering degree and is now a chief engineer. He works overseas while I manage a small store at home. Meanwhile, my sister and her husband did not graduate. Their source of income had always been from selling fruit shakes in front of schools. It wasn't a steady income, but their daily needs are still met. Since I and my husband have the capacity to help, I've asked my husband to help my relatives. He agreed, and now we've financed the education of more than 10 people. Relatives, neighbors, people we hire, etc. Aside from that, we also helped my sister's family with everything we can, even on demand. Back in 1999, I was pregnant with my first child. We used to live in a small town far from the nearest hospital, which was kilometers away in a city. So, my husband and I decided to make a move to the city to be near basic commodities and schools, hospitals, and markets. My sister was livid when I told her the news of us, just since my husband's overseas, moving to the city. She reasoned that, what about her family? Their income won't let them survive that long. She's already had 5 children. I was so stressed and weeks passed by that, I forgot it was the 9th month of my pregnancy. On December 6th, I hurried to the hospital. My friend already agreed that I'd be staying in their house for now. The next day, my first child was born. I asked my cousin and my friend to fetch my belongings from the home, 'cause I'd already decided to move to the city for my baby. When my friend and cousin went to the house and fetched my clothes, my sister went on a tantrum. She threw all my clothes outside and said, quote, "I hope she died at birth." I was devastated, of course, when I heard that, but life went on and I forgave her. Years later, I already had my second child. My sister's second child was about to go to college, so I financed her education. She wasn't able to finish college because of her choices. I brushed that off despite having to buy the things she needed for her school. Years later, her third child was ready to go to college. Now, this is where things started to go down south. My niece, let's call her Rihanna, 32 female, during her second year in college started to date. She was a lesbian and started dating this girl a few blocks from our house. By the way, we moved to another city still closer to our hometown. My niece lived with us during this time. I was pregnant with the third child. Little did I know my niece would go out at night, leaving the gate open. She would go clubbing with her girlfriend. I only found this out when my cousin told me that the gate was open one night. I scolded her about this. This was also the time when I found out about her relationship. I told her it was fine that she started dating, but I do want her to focus on school and studies, which means her girlfriend can't be in the house to be a distraction, and she can't go clubbing either. This is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I called her mother. But instead of apologizing to me, she got angry and told me to get off my niece's love life. She can do whatever she wants. I was offended, of course. What if she gets in trouble? What if she gets hurt? What would be accountable for this? Me! We had months of a quarrel over this, and my niece graduated. Around 2013-2014, I found out I had breast cancer. I was devastated, of course. I had surgery and went to chemotherapy. During this time, another one of my brother-in-law had a medical emergency. While I was in chemo, I also helped him with his disease. I don't know exactly the reason why, but my sister's husbands gathered his brothers and sisters and plotted something against me. I heard that my brother-in-law actually said verbatim when he found out I got surgery, "So, is she dead?" I don't know what they were plotting. They invited me to come, but I didn't go. All I know is that they think I'm, quote, hogging my husband's money for myself. Yeah, you read that right. They said, as siblings, they have, quote, rights to my husband's paycheck. This whole scenario just dug a hole so deep. Okay, let's condense this and let's enumerate the things that have transpired over the years. I financed my sister's fourth daughter's college education, where she got pregnant and married a man we don't know. Her mother defended her. My first son is going to college, and since I don't want him to go alone in a city away from me, I, quote, hired my sister to help her nephew for a weekly $55 salary. Rihanna saw this as me making her mother a helper or some kind of servant. She went on a rant on social media. This led to another fight between me and my sister, and then again I forgave them. My terminally ill father-in-law was in my sister's care when Rihanna posted on Facebook asking for help, hinting that my father-in-law's children, despite being engineers and professionals, aren't helping. My husband got offended, and so did I, since we financed my father-in-law's medicine, and they were asking for an oxygen tank, which was scarce at the time because of C-19. At that point, I've had enough. I've had enough of their demands. I've had enough of their bickering. I've just had enough. So, the last time my sister and I spoke, I told her to never contact me again. And if a rift between us is what they want, I'll give it to them. I said that our relationship as sisters is severed, and I don't want anything to do with them. My sister got offended by this and lectured me about family values and whatnot. Till now, I've still not talked to her or her family. I did still speak to my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, but only for a brief moment. I just want to start this off by saying I think OP sounds like a great person. I would like to read a comment that I found from the original thread. It says, "You both sound like amazing people, but you let yourself be used for far too long. Please don't give a dime or help anyone else out in that family. I beg you, please, cut ties 100% or they'll suck you dry. They obviously only care about the money and not the kindness of the people helping all those years. Asking many times throughout the year if you've died and hope you died, that's cruel and sad. Please don't give them a penny more to any of them for any reason. Let them fend for themselves. Good luck. I'm sorry you have such a horrible family." Guys, let me know what you thought of this story in the comment section down below. Our next story we're going to look at is an Am I the A-hole story, and the title is, Am I the a-hole for not telling a vegan mom that the candy she stole from my little kids wasn't vegan? Guys, click that subscribe button if you're new here, and here comes story number 2. This happened on Halloween on the following day. My neighbor, 38 female, super vegan, has 2 kids. I, 26 female, also have 2 kids. My apartment complex did not do traditional trick-or-treating on Halloween. Residents were advised to set our pre-packaged individual candy bags on their patios or front areas if they wanted to participate, but the traditional knocking on the door, physically hand strangers candy was not permitted. So, Halloween comes and the kids are all dressed up. Each building has scheduled times where the kids go door to door. I ended up having to work late, so my neighbor offered to walk my kids around with hers. It was at our building's scheduled time. About 45 minutes later, my kids came home with a small bucket of candy. 6 little goodie bags each from individual apartments that participated. Everything was fine, and my kids did not say anything weird that happened. They were just excited to eat candy once they got home. The next day, I took my kids to the park directly across from our apartment complex. My neighbor was there with her kids as well. The kids were playing, and she took out one of those individual goodie bags with candy in it from her purse and started loudly rummaging in it. She ate several pieces of candy, and my daughter eventually noticed, ran up and asked if she could have a piece, and my neighbor responded with this: "Nope, this is my tax candy. Remember that this was my reward for taking your trick-or-treating last night." I was a little weirded out by that statement and asked what she meant. She said that since she's the one who had to take the kids out, she took 5 bags from each of the kids as a tax. Her son then chimes in and says, "Oh, you only took 2 bags from us." She responded with, "But I'm your mom. I was doing OP a favor so they get a higher candy tax." I was thinking about how to respond when I noticed that she was holding a Starburst candy, and decided to just smile and nod and go back to watching my kids. I let her continue to finish off the bag of candy and then said, "Hey, aren't you vegan? You know, a lot of those candies are made with animal byproducts, right?" I explained what gelatin was and how a lot of those candies are made with it. She was horrified, Googles it, and told her kids that they're leaving. She said something about how she was going to be sick and stormed off. Now she's giving me dirty looks every time we see her, and won't let her kids play if she shows up at the park where we are. My husband thinks I'm an a-hole because I should have either, number 1, not said anything about the gelatin, or 2, said something right away when I noticed. I don't think it's my job to tell a vegan what is and isn't vegan, though, and she deserved it for stealing candy from little kids. In my opinion of this story, I have to say no. OP, you are not the a-hole. I have a lot of friends that are vegan, and I remember one specifically telling me he had to give up candy because of the gelatin inside of it. Apparently, it's very common for vegans to know that you can't have gelatin. Apparently, this slipped the mind of this person in the story. Guys, let me know if you've ever experienced anything like this. Someone tried to steal your kid's candy on Halloween. Also, the best way to support the channel is just by pressing the like button. Our final story of the day is this. I've married an entitled parent. I did not know until now. Here's the story that led to the disaster. Have been thinking about writing this for a while. But since the most stupid discussion I've ever had happened tonight, I've just got to get this out. So, quick backstory. I married my current wife, entitled parent. She has 3 kids prior to us meeting. Entitled kid, stepson 13. Entitled kid 2, stepson 12. Entitled kid 3, stepdaughter 10. We have 2 kids together who, as of writing this, aren't entitled brats. For how young they are, they're quite good. A few years ago, entitled Kid 1 decided to make up stories to me that his teacher is saying I've been abusing him and his siblings. Child Services did a thorough investigation and found it all to be made up, and ever since I've kept my distance from any parental roles. I have to admit, I find their entitlement incredibly annoying and lose my temper from time to time. Most of the time, though, I just walk away. Also, don't know how relevant, but their bio dad, entitled dad, has been out of the picture until 2 years ago, and has since won enough custody and refuses to work, so we have to pay him child support, even though the kids are with us more than half the time. Here's the story from today. Due to how our routines work, it's up to me to get the little kids ready each morning. I also take them to their respective school and daycare. However, all 3 entitled kids are expected to get themselves ready and catch their buses. Entitled Kid 1 always leaves to go to his grandparents because he gets to make a lunch consisting of nothing but sugar. Entitled Kid 2 usually follows but did not this morning. Instead, thought it was a great idea to just stuff about it. I don't prompt them or tell them to do because, as their entitled mother says, quote, "You can't force them, they have to want to do the right thing." So, I'm going about my business not really paying attention to them. Then out of the blue, Entitled Kid 2 starts yelling at me this. "You artard. You should have told me how late it was. Now I'm going to miss my bus. This is all your fault, you idiot, you suck." This tirade goes on for a while. I ignore it, but in my head I'm getting angrier and angrier. I call his grandmother and tell her to take him to school as she works there. I call and let Entitled Mother know what happened, and this is the text I get. "Sorry, Entitled Kid 2 got crossed at you this morning. I just think you need to let it go. We know when he's stressed, he doesn't deal with things properly. Perhaps I'll talk to him about it later when he's calm. Anyways, no need to stress." I read it and did not say anything. So, come later in the day, I'm happy and all, over cleaning and doing other things that Entitled Kid and Entitled Mother notice and get cross with me for being distant about it all. This is what happened. Entitled Mother and me's conversation go as followed. "You need to let it go." "But it's happening all the time. Why don't you do something about it?" "Because they need to choose to do the right thing." "What? What are you going to do about it?" "Well, I'll leave if it doesn't stop." "I'm not stopping you. It isn't fair. Everyone keeps telling me what to do with my kids." "Well, doing nothing about their bad behavior is a bad parenting move." "No, it isn't. As I know they'll do the right thing, you just need to let it go." "So, you're telling me that I have to make a change and allow them to keep treating me like crap?" "Yes, they're just babies." "So, we can't meet in the middle?" "If you could meet all the expectations, then maybe you would have an argument for that. I need to know what you plan to do." "Okay, alright." "I have to go. I'm sick of being judged by everyone because I don't do what people think I should do." She just left. I'm sitting in the bathroom thinking I don't feel anything anymore. I just feel numb from it. I'm probably in the wrong knowing how apparently she perceives things. I'll update when there's more. Update number 1. So, after I wrote this, I decided to call my parents and actually seek advice from them as they both have experiences in this from what I've learned in the conversation. I'm the youngest of 8 in a blended family, but never grew up with any of my older siblings. They also live 2,000 kilometers away. My dad gave me some great advice. Use one of my audio recorders, former radio announcer and has a lot of gear from those days. Whenever I interact with the entitled kids, gather and catch evidence. In a couple weeks, sit entitled mother down with a third party as a mediator. Go through the evidence with her and, in very black and white terms, ask what she's going to do. And give the ultimatum then and there. If she says no, walk. In the meantime, I'll be gathering my resources to prep the worst. I would also like to point out, as a couple of you say they, quote, believe the entitled kid one about me being abusive, even entitled mother knows I don't. My anger usually in the form of stomping off, muttering, or yelling shut up. Here's a quick story. The way our house is designed, the kids' rooms are at one end of the shared office space at the exact opposite. I was in the office with entitled mother working on something. EK1 did not know I was in there and started throwing himself against the door and yelling, "Stop hitting me!" I looked at entitled mother and both of us recorded it on our phones. What entitled kid 1 wanted to do was get me out because at that time I was enforcing a chore chart. Update 2. So, before I add this story and what I have to say, I'm so appreciative of all those who've reached out. So, today, entitled mother and me have another blue all over me standing up for the boundaries I've put in to protect myself. Spent about an hour of her justifying to me that her kids can say whatever to me and that I'm lucky to not have to discipline them because, quote, I get to, well, forced to, take them places to do whatever they want. I essentially said I'm over this shit. Entitled mother then got angry with me for having a verbal discussion in private with her in our own home about it all, because apparently she can't put up with things and thoughts together properly. Me trying to make sure I haven't missed anything and said that maybe we need marriage and counseling. Entitled Mother's response was this: if you think counseling is needed, you go by yourself and fix you. Seriously guys, I know my rose-tinted glasses have splintered now. All I see is an entitled, spoiled person that shares my last name and is raising my kids. I'll be seeing a lawyer this week and organizing my physical needs. We'll keep you updated. Update 3. So, Entitled Mother just called me to tell me she needs to add me to a large loan ASAP. I feel like this is forcing my hand, so I drafted a letter. What do you think of it? Entitled Mother: I don't know where to start. Life's been weird for a long time now. You said you needed me to make a decision, and so I am here now with one. I think we need to separate. I'm not happy in this marriage, and I know you're not either. I'm struggling to see any possible way of us being miserable. We disagree on too many things and cannot communicate at all. I'm not going to sit here and type out what is doing wrong. I honestly think we're just not well matched anymore, and I should have seen the signs pointing to that earlier. I'm grateful for the 2 boys you've helped raise with me, and I want to never stop co-parenting them with you. I just can't be in a house anymore where I don't feel comfortable or happy. I know I can be closed off, I know I can be standoffish, but whenever I've brought up a feeling of concern, I would never feel accepted or understood. I know this is because we are very different people. I want to work with you on providing for my boys with everything they need, and I want to still be a part of their life. I'm not like your ex and won't put you through what he's done because I know both of us can be fair. I'm sorry that it's come to this, but I am not happy at all. I can't continue to live like this and to be suitable father for the boys. They deserve the best for me. Again, I'm sorry for this. I'm only trying to do what's best. Update 4. So, I've made a plan. I'm going to talk to Entitled Mother on Tuesday. I've made a budget and know where to sit for the moment. Applying for homes to rent that are suitable for me and the 2 little ones. She came back home from a weekend away tonight and she's just been wandering the house. Because grumpy as she says, frustrated. Guys, wish me luck. This was a tough story to read. I actually thought of one thing when I was reading it. Then I read this comment that OP replied to, so it wasn't as easy as I thought it was, and what I mean by that, let me read it to you. Dude, you're still the stepdad. Call their school counselor and get them in sessions. If the entitled dad gets child support, he should have the kids file a lawsuit. Finally, divorce her. She doesn't deserve you, my guy. You'll likely get custody if you include how she parents her kids in the case. I thought that was great, until OP said this. Unfortunately, child support is set up in Australia that goes against the parents who earn more. Guys, if anyone listening is from Australia, let us know a little more about what he's talking about in the comment section down below. That's all the stories I have for you guys today. I hope each and every one of you enjoyed them. As always, Mr. Reddito will see you tomorrow.